The Cup Adventurers present A Tale of Success. All right, 1, 2, 3, record.
Recording.
Also recording.
Okay, so this is our, I was about to say third annual, that's not correct. This is our third podcast. So, guest number 3, welcome to whatever the hell this is. And tell us about, I don't really know where we should start here. Like, why did you buy a cup to begin with? Was there someone in your life who inspired you?
Alright, so obviously I heard of the cups years ago. They've been around for a while now, and I always kind of vaguely had a thought that, you know, that's something that I might try someday. It sounds like a good idea. But it was just a sort of vague notion that I might try it someday, and I probably would have never gotten around to it if I hadn't had the Cup Avengers, or what's this called?
Cup Avengers.
I heard all the tales of woe from you first. I mean, yours was the first experience I got the lowdown on. Okay, you know that feeling where you see someone else trying to like untie a knot or something like that, and you're like, let me try, give it to me, let me try.
And we'll see how that went, won't we?
Alright, I went online and pretty much bought the first reasonable looking cup I came across. I didn't do a whole lot of brand research because I kind of wanted to have a normal experience, not like overly educated by your guys' misfortune. I didn't want to take advantage of all the misfortune I'd heard about by, trying to cheat the system. So I just bought what I would have bought if I'd been buying it on my own before hearing about anyone else's woes. The only thing that I stood out for was I got one with a small loop on the end instead of a little knob or stem. I got the Perfect Cup, TM is what it's called, and I bought it in the double pack, which comes with a small and a medium sized. So I have 2 cups, 1 small, 1 medium. And they are medium stiffness, medium thickness, just very average, ordinary cups, I think. And they have this tiny loop on the bottom, which is too small to get a finger into, it's too small to grab, it's still just a tiny little hoop, but it will be important. Foreshadowing.
God, I hate you.
Oh my god, the foreshadowing.
So it arrived pretty quickly, and then the next day my period started, which was incredibly convenient. I never know when my period's going to start. I'm terrible at tracking it. It's always a surprise. But that worked out very well. So I decided, well, that's convenient. Let's just crack on. So I began on the first day with the small-sized cup. And I just went for it. I folded it into a seam fold like they showed us.
You hear that?
I heard it. I also started with that fold. Did not go well.
Yeah, did not continue with that fold. Did you continue with that fold? Is that working well for you?
I mean, yeah, it's fine. I didn't really know that there were other ones.
Alright, continue. I'm happy for you.
That's what I keep telling myself as well.
There's going to be a lot of happy for me. Look, guys, you know, whenever there's a conversation about how much of a pain in the ass something is, there's always that one bitch who's like, well, I've never had any problems with it. Today, I am that bitch. But it wasn't entirely without teething troubles, because I put it up the first time. I didn't have any particular problem just sticking it up there and, run a finger around the bottom to make sure it's puffed out and everything. And it was fine. I think most people's experience is that when it's in, it's generally pretty comfortable.
Yeah, that was true even for me.
Yeah, so that was completely true for me. I never felt any discomfort, but it was, in. And then I tried to take it out. And oh boy, yeah, that is a struggle. The little loopy bit on the bottom is too small to grab. It was really hard to get at, and I have long nails.
Oh!
That was not comfortable. I gave myself a few little pinches. And even when I did manage to get a hold of it, I couldn't feel whether the seal was broken or not. So there was this really uncomfortable suction-y feeling as I was trying to get it out, and I was having all these horrible mental images of
familiar.
slurping myself inside out,
Yes.
like a female version of guts.
But on the other hand, what if it was like a plunger and you were plunging the blood out?
Oh,
Let's get back to that image later because I have something to say about that.
that's the worst.
The plunger.
Okay, so that was the first try, and then I decided to try the modification that I had had in mind since hearing you guys describe your issues.
All right, talk about it.
I thought that the main problem that I'd heard from your guys' experiences was the difficulty of getting it out, and I thought that there couldn't possibly be anything but difficulty getting it out when you have such a small little crappy little knob to try and get a hold of to pull it out. It's not going to work. It's never going to be comfortable. It's never going to be easy. I thought this needs a string.
Fuck you.
Oh my god.
God.
Is that what you did? What the hell? I'm so offended.
I know, I'm so mad.
Oh my god.
I'm so mad.
If you could see my if you could see my face. Oh my god. Did you think of this on your own?
I mean, yeah. Well, I didn't want to use regular string because that kind of felt like it was defeating the purpose of something that was washable and reusable and that you didn't have to fiddle with every time. I mean, you'd have to take the string off every time you took it out and put a new one on because it would be absorbent and, gross. So I thought, okay, what I really need is some sort of plastic string.
That is also sterile and is, ready for all that.
That is something you just wash right off. And I'm going to try and work up something more permanent than this by next period. But what I settled on for this one was dental floss. Basically plastic string,
Minty. Minty fresh.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about dental floss. You do have to wash the minty stuff off before you tie it on. One time I didn't fully wash it thoroughly enough to get all the minty off. So there was a certain amount of minty freshness going on down there for a few minutes.
Like brushing your teeth.
So basically what you're telling me is that you saw millions of women essentially around the world having a major issue with this tampon replacement, and you thought, what I could do is attach the thing that's attached to a fucking tampon to this thing. And maybe that really obvious solve that literally no one else has ever talked about, apparently thought of, none of us.
All right, so I tied a loop of dental floss through the small ring at the base of the cup. If you didn't have a cup with a ring on it, but just like a knob or a stem, it occurred to me that you could just bore a hole through the thick part of it and run a string through that way. So I tied on my dental floss string, popped the cup back in, and the next time I went to take it out, so I just popped one finger up alongside the cup and press down to break the seal, which I got the knack of doing. Like I got to feel when the seal was properly broken, so I wasn't worrying about slurping out my insides. So I would use that one finger to hold it down and put pressure on it to sort of help it drag. But mainly, the downward pressure would come from a firm, steady pull on the string. Just a firm, steady slide out. And you guys, it worked. It worked real well. It worked real well. I never had another issue.
I don't know what to say to you.
Wait, but like, okay, so when it's coming out though, did you like, I don't know, because as you're pulling it out, is it still fully cup shaped, or is it like bent or anything like that? Because the size of it, when I was just pulling it straight out, I was like, nope.
Same.
Well, because I had my finger up, it was flattened slightly, so it's more of an oval shape than a round. And I was pulling the string sort of upwards towards myself, so as it's sliding out, it's kind of sliding out sideways.
Yeah.
And that seemed to... I mean, I could feel it at the widest. It was a slight sense of pressure, something slightly, bigger than usual. Sliding out there. But because I kept my finger on it, there was no, like, umbrella pop when it came out. It wasn't, like, springing out and whacking me.
It didn't smack you in the clit.
It is. It's the umbrella pop.
It is. Yeah. And if it happens at the wrong moment and the wrong angle, boy, it's not comfortable because it'll just smack you right there.
Right. I didn't have to worry about the umbrella pop.
But I also like how your solution for problem solving is to figure out how externally to take it out, and my solution was, well, how many more things can I jam in there to get it out? That didn't work, okay?
Weren't we talking about, like, we were joking about, like blunt-ended forceps?
What else can we, forceps, more fingers? No, you're like, dental floss. It can just come out, and you're like, what?
Yeah, this is I think, so you've got basically, you've solved the distance problem, you've got little to no leakage, no discomfort in or out, like, it is working for you grand because you've been great and innovative and you're a wonderful genius. We're all very happy for you. But, like, also, like, apparently you just have a really convenient vagina size is what I'm getting from this. Like,
right, that was absolutely another
in
thing.
Both
yeah,
width and depth. You're just...
Width, depth, length, girth, all of those.
It's working for you.
That's great, though.
The vagina thing does seem kind of relevant because I was dead surprised when you told me, like, you couldn't feel your cervix. I barely knew that was a thing that could be a thing for people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know exactly where my cervix is because I can feel it. If I go up there with the longest finger, it's just right at the top there. That's where my cervix is.
See, that's another interesting thing when we were talking about depth, because we both had our sort of first ever pap smears a couple of years ago, and you had yours just before I had mine, and didn't tell me that it was extraordinarily painful because you didn't want to freak me out.
Yeah.
And then I went, and mine wasn't painful at all. It was like barely uncomfortable. Like, it was fine. So
I was so worried about you going for yours after I'd had mine. I was like, well, there might be a little discomfort, but I didn't want to be like, oh God, it really hurts, because then
yeah.
And then you came back and was like, it was fine. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't more uncomfortable than like putting a tampon in, basically, or anything like that. So I wonder if that is another effect, essentially, of you having as you say, a present and available cervix, and mine is like God knows where. Mine's like up in my left tit, apparently.
So I think I have a shorter vagina than you. I also think that whatever clenching or size issues maybe that you guys had with it was causing like a suction upwards.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think because it was too wide. Yours is a really convenient shape. Like it's short and squat like a dwarf.
Like a duck vagina.
Thank you.
Mine is long and lean
Thank
like
you.
an elf, you know.
Yeah, duck vagina. All the manufacturers of all the different cups, more or less, seem to have made this design choice that the stem or loop at the base of the cup has to be so tiny. Why does it have to be such a tiny little thing that is, you know, held within the vagina and doesn't come out externally? We were saying, like, there might be a few people who really need something to be fully internal and completely invisible from the outside, like if you're a dancer or something, but most people don't need that.
Basically what we were talking about was why not imagine like a wine glass shape, essentially, where there's like a little bit that just stays anchored like on the outside, sort of like
Butt plug.
I was
Like
about,
a butt
like
plug.
a butt plug. Exactly.
Or like a wine glass, which is a much more elegant.
Or like a wine glass.
Refined,
however,
fancy way.
however you want it, yeah.
Yeah. But I did have a thought about that. I wondered if, and I still think this could be fixed with a good design process, but I think possibly the issue they're trying to avoid is that is wicking, essentially. That if there's slight leakage down the side of the cup and the stem of it is in contact with like your underwear or your pad or whatever, it'll sort of capillary action like wick down more of a leak than would otherwise happen.
I mean, I would take that,
Guinea
honestly,
pig.
in return for it not disappearing all the time.
Right.
Right. So, like, do you feel like you are going to continue using this now?
I really feel like I am. I think I'm a convert.